What's up, nerds and nerdettes and we little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gut Pixar presents Legendary Gaming, and I am back with the 20-sided warriors. We just finished a game of our RPG Mutants Masterminds 2nd Edition Paragons campaign, and got a couple of the guys stayed around, and they want to talk about it, and I want to talk about it. Things got a little weird. So why don't we check this out? Yes, indeed, my friends. As I said, it had been that time again. Mutants Masterminds 2nd Edition. We're doing the Paragons campaign that I am running. That I have not actually given them the name of the entire campaign yet. And two of the players stayed to talk about the game, give a synopsis of what happened. And this is going to be a difficult one to get through because it was a weird one. Is that not true? Ryan and Anthony, what's up, guys?
Hey. Yeah, weird is probably the lowest level word I would use to describe what happened today.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly.
Yeah.
So last session, last issue 2, which was called Road Trip,
right,
ended at the airport. Now, Ryan was not sitting in the game, and neither was Steven, who was here today earlier.
Correct.
And it ended off at the airport with Cop Cat, as you've been calling him.
Cop
Cat. Rob's cat mutant human dude getting shot.
You're right.
Your vice president.
Right.
Who was trying to steal your company, as it turns out, since you already wanted felon.
And a pretend wife.
And if you had a wife, he would steal her too, he said.
Right.
Seeing the cat guy freaked him out.
Of course.
Big time. Well, I wound up taking the gun off of me and shooting Rob, as you would if you saw a man
6
cat.
foot whatever guy cat.
Yeah. Growling at you and stuff. Sure, I would too.
Yeah.
And that loud gunshot and the ensuing fight caused little baby Michael, Courtney's baby, to wake up and start crying.
Right. And everybody except Alex's character fell asleep. He got groggy. My character actually passed out and entered a dreamlike state where apparently I was going, road that had a well-worn path, but at the top of this was more like a tentacle creature thing that was pulling you off the side of the boat.
Yep.
And Steven's character off the side of the boat, and that's where we had left it.
Yeah.
That had happened earlier in the game, which is how I wrote Steven and Ryan out of the game.
Yes.
Was the tentacle, water, shadow,
right.
smoke creature thing.
Right. Very lost sounding.
Yeah, right.
As
very
well as
lost
the captain, too. But you didn't see him today, did you?
Did not see him at all today. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure what was real and what wasn't in today's
So the game started off with you, Anthony.
Right. It starts off with me trying to work my way up this hill to see what's going on with the tentacled area. I'm in there.
There's all shadows around you, like you're in a shadowy tunnel.
Nothing but like shadowy tunnels. Very strange environment where, I'll give you a good example. There were tentacle creatures in there, supposedly wrapping up from what I could see. Ryan's character.
And Steven,
and Steven's character. I drew my gun, and suddenly my gun was talking to me as if it had sentient life in it somehow. A lot of...
And it was creepy the way it was
very
talking.
creepy, yeah. It was very sinister in nature, telling me that...
kill them. They don't care about you.
You know, basically worry about yourself. We'll take care of them.
Yeah, we'll take care.
Yeah, we'll make sure.
Kill them all.
There you go.
Help you. They're slowing you down.
Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, they're these two are anchors. You really don't need...
Should have been doing that over here. Kill them. They don't care for you. They're slowing you down. Just kill them. Shoot them now.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, a lot of devious whispers in my ear to say, basically, save yourself. Screw these two. We'll take good care of them.
Yeah, and that then cut to, while that's all going on, Steven and I wake up in our own little area, little dark area at first, and then we discover we are also on a worn down dirt road, but instead of it being this big expansive shadow world, it's still in the shadow world, but The entire path is lined with willow trees with no water near them. Behind us is a black portal to nowhere. And then in front of us is just this road, this expansive road that just keeps going and going and going. My character has the bright idea to take a rock that was next to him, throw it through the portal, just to see what happens. And then this constant echo just resounds through the entire area and just keeps playing over and over again until it then speeds up. And it just, the sound of a rock dropping over and over again just keeps getting faster and faster and faster until finally it explodes into this cacophony of what sounds like something crashing behind us. And so Steven and I think, let's just get out. We need to leave here right now because something's bad's about to happen. So we take off and we start running down the path. When we run into this amalgamation, chimera-like creature that's just sort of random body parts of various animals thrown together, and it's sort of like flickering and between different like faced creatures. It just looks, think of the most evil thing you can. It looks like that, and the only thing it does is it looks at Steven and myself and gets this devious grin, and this just kind of starts to come toward devious grin, and it immediately charges at us. And I think things would have gone a little bit better for us had I not been rolling probably the worst I've ever rolled, I think, on an RPG ever.
You robbed every roll.
I like to think that Rob mead last week because I typically have really, really bad rolls.
So you didn't rob the rolls.
No,
Rob
Ryaned the rolls, and I Ryaned my rolls. Yes. Yeah. So I was back in true RPG form this week. Probably, I think my first 5 rolls were like collectively like a 12.
Yeah,
between like 3s and 4s and 1s. It was awful.
No joke on that.
And so right away, this thing tries to grab Steven and myself. Steven manages to slip away, but I get caught in its talons right away. It snaps my wrist, shatters my wrist. I think it's actually the terminology that we use. It grabs on, shatters my wrist, and I don't we discussed last week what the power sets were, or the last time I was here we discussed power sets. My powers weren't working. I wasn't able to absorb anything. I wasn't able to kind of redirect anything. It was just, my wrist was shattered. The entire arm felt like it was just burning sensation through the whole thing. It felt like glass was being ground up on my nerves. Steven tries to get me out of it by attacking the creature, but he gets stuck into it. Like it's like this goop kind of, I don't know, he tries to hit it and he just gets stuck. Like a tar baby. He just punches it, gets stuck, but the momentum of the hit still carries him away. Yeah. So he gets launched backwards. The arm that's holding me stretches out like Stretch Armstrong and just goes flying backwards. He's still stuck to the thing. He's flying that way, and he and I are just like, we don't know what's going on.
And you don't see me.
And we didn't know. We were in a completely different spot. It's just Steven and myself. And the whole time it's like we're just trying to figure out what's going on in our immediate little spot. But then you're on in some, whether it's an Inception thing where it's like there's layers to this, or if it's like there's multiple different panels that are the panes of reality that are all occurring at the same time that are crossing over. I don't know. There's all sorts of stuff going on.
And I should say on my side, I had Copcat with me.
You had Copcat with you.
From what I was told, his body was almost kind of moving inside, almost where you could see things moving about inside of it. And I went over to him and I looked away for a minute. I turned back and there's a mouse.
A little tiny white little mouse.
A tiny little white mouse up on its hind legs, sniffing the air, and then tells me to go that way and points to a different direction. So I was kind of lost. I couldn't drag Rob anymore. I was told that his body started to become sort of like lead, but weird mixture of kind of this weird looking metallic kind of, to the point where there was no way I could possibly drag him. Left him where he was, and that's when I spotted you and Steven, but as the roll turned out, it looked like I needed to help you more. Try to get out of the tentacles, which I didn't do a very good job of because I wasn't able to get you
and
out
the shadows that you get stuck in them. And then it started to sort of wrap itself
around my arm,
as well, as it's slowly taking me over more and more as well.
It was saying it was almost like enveloping you completely.
It was like little by little, like as every failed roll, which there was a lot of, happened. A little bit more of the shadow just sort of took me over piece by piece.
We had you with the low rolls, me in the middle, and then Steven
was killing it.
15 and up. 15 and up.
I don't think nothing dropped, like he didn't drop below 13 or 14.
Even if he got a low roll, he had such a good multiplier of things that
it
would always push him in double digits.
And that's what I think sort of woke his, in your pain or your level,
right,
is what woke him up or got him out of his tentacle,
right,
because he sort of was released,
but
didn't do anything. He just kind of stood there and like looked very deformed.
Yeah, he on my side he said like
mutations,
like mutated, like he was like, I was like, very
no actual words, just
no actual
noise.
words, noise, exactly.
And jaw was
jaw's partially dislocated and just like the third eye growing out the side of his head,
right.
Green skin.
Yeah, green skin, like extreme exposure to radiation.
And he whizzes right by me.
Science fiction radiation.
Yeah, and he whizzed right by me. He went right by me.
Like he just stood there, but he didn't really do much. Like, he didn't try to help, but he didn't hurt you either.
He was screaming in pain, howling in pain, but it was
not very audible to know like help me, I'm hurting, or like nothing like that. No, not at all.
And you continued to try to get me out, and then at that point, that's when that
Rob turned into a wall.
Rob turned into a wall to protect you from
the oncoming
shadow, like horde of demonic,
the creeping darkness.
Yeah, the creeping darkness thing that turned out to be like fused together limbs of random humanoid.
And like you were saying, there's so very little light in here. You really can't even make out any like design shape of what it might be.
Yeah, it just looks like a glob of shadow just breaking, and
that's
what it was. It was just enveloping the wall and trying to get through.
And Rob's body, we should say, turned into like this weird metal, smoother than smooth wall, smoothest thing you've ever felt on Earth or whatever, and it was like almost like a barrier protecting me. And I felt centered at one point. Like there was a couple times I felt like, all right, this is not really happening. I've got to center myself and focus. But eventually the wall started cracking. There was
they started to get through, and that's when you started to hear whispers again about leave them. We'll take care of them. And a door appeared near you.
Bark
door. It looked like a tree. Yeah.
Yeah, something out of Lord of the Rings.
And oddly enough, as that's all going on, and with Steven and I, we're still fighting off Steven's fighting the monster.
Right.
I'm just sort of there, cowering in pain and running around with my eyes closed.
Right.
We see a crack open up in one of the trees.
Yes.
We can only see like shadowy figures through it. They're mostly obscured except for one.
Right.
At the time, I theorized that it's like, oh, this is the realities coming together. And This is the bridge point. Like, this is how we're going to end up.
This is how we snap out of it.
This is how we snap out of it. This is how at least we get everybody back together.
Right.
And it was, like, as you resisted the whispers trying to get through to you, and as the shadow creatures are breaking through, I think we finally ended up shattering out of those two different shadow realms of non-reality, or whatever it was, the dream nightmare world. Yeah,
because it was all like a shared dream.
It was all a shared dream. We all had our own thing going on. It was like, because we Steven and I were in yours, but we weren't actually there.
Right. It was almost like that wall really separated two different realities. What you guys were doing, and then I had a pair of you on my side, so I almost got a different perspective of what was going on.
And once those
Here's a little note from the other side of the screen for you. When I was with you guys, when I was with you and Steven.
Right.
Your roles were affecting what was happening.
On your side. So like what my
thanks.
So all of my failed stuff was then causing.
No wonder I was getting screwed.
I was rolling
ones and fours and threes and twos. Man, that makes sense.
Mirrored effect between the two things.
What he was rolling was affecting the world that you and Steven were.
That's why I didn't die in the other one, because I was like, I thought for sure that thing was just going to take out my character.
Aspects of him were that shadow creature.
Oh.
Dun dun dun.
Huh.
That was his representation in your world.
That
makes
what
sense
it was.
now.
Yeah, because it was just the three. Because that was it. There was nothing else in that world other than me, Steven, and that shadow creature.
No, and then eventually we wake up in the airport and on the ground.
Well, before that is we.
Oh, you missed a whole big part there.
Before that, we were in that There was like a room that looked like an old 40s noir film.
That's right.
And
the typewriter.
And true to form, yeah, it was. It was in black. We were seeing everything in black and white.
That's right.
And it was just a narrow hallway with a couple of one door slightly ajar.
Right.
Door, not a door when it's ajar. At the very end of the hallway with a little light coming through and a couple other doors on the side.
Yeah.
And all we hear is the clack of a typewriter, like an old style typewriter.
And you went barging ahead.
In a desperate attempt to get away from whatever was happening, I full board just run down the hallway to get through, which, as far as I can tell, I sort of transformed into what looked like a pony as I ran down this hallway.
You noticed nothing.
I noticed nothing. I felt like I was just running.
Also, at this point, with the exception of Alex's character, at this point, everyone was together.
Yeah, Cop Cat was back with us.
Right.
Slick was
back with us.
We were also missing Courtney and the baby.
Courtney and the baby weren't there, neither was Alex. So
right.
the three people who, at least as far as we know, were still conscious on the other side.
Correct, yeah.
Not for my character. Not
right.
In-game knowledge, my character doesn't know that. But having watched the recap of last week, that's what it seemed like to me. I'm sort of trying to put some of the pieces...
It seems like whoever didn't pass out wasn't in
this whole dreamscape.
Right.
And so we end up in this little noir-like style office where we run into a little old, I think it was described as short, with a dad bod kind of build.
Mustache, kind of
wispy mustache, like white hair.
Yeah.
White hair on his head as well. And we think he was clothed all in white.
Yeah, and also talking to somebody that we can't see.
Talking to somebody that we couldn't
don't worry,
see.
I'll tell them about it.
Yeah.
And there's nobody around.
Well, and much fittingly, fitting the description, rather short, kind of paunchy guy with whiskery kind of mustache.
Right.
The white mouse from earlier, connecting those dots. It was like he was guiding us to get to this spot.
But you guys didn't realize
we didn't realize it till
he
was described as the short mousy man dressed in white.
Short mousy.
We were like, oh, mousy guy.
Yeah.
So that was funny. He told us that, it was we were in a small pocket realm and we were safe for the time being.
Right. But those trains that kept
going by, which were getting more frequent as we stayed there.
Right.
I figured that they were the representation of the shadow creatures trying to get to us.
To get in, right.
They kept going by really fast as
sort of like in the Matrix when you keep hearing the other ships locking on and everything, and they're gonna find us. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, a lot of very Matrix-like kind of
100%
similarities, which is fun.
Yeah.
But so we're there. We're talking to him. He's talking to someone else, trying to say
we deserve a reward.
We deserve a reward.
They made it this far,
but we also in order for us to make any progress, we have to exit ourselves to find ourselves.
Right.
And so we're like, what is this existential stuff? Like, what are you trying to tell me? It's all literal. The words I'm saying are true. You need to lose yourself to find yourself, kind of thing.
Right. I said double speak. He goes, no, this is not double speak. This is exactly what you need to do.
And so after that, again, the trains were just getting more frequent. So he says, "That's it. We're out of time.
Go through the bathroom.
Get out through the bathroom window.
Yeah, with the window that's centered in the middle of just plain air.
Yeah,
it's not attached to anything.
Yeah, we go through
another realm basically,
and we come out on this little grassy hill. It's we're all no. I think at first it was just the three of us.
Just the three of you.
It was just
the three of us.
Anthony, Steve, and myself.
Right.
So we end up on the top of this grassy hill, hearing glass crash behind us, turning around to see shadow figures right there,
right at the window,
at the window. Arms coming through, trying to reach us.
The window closes.
The window fades away, and the arms fall and collapse and fizzle
and burn up in the sun. Yeah, supposedly.
And so we're stuck at the top of this hill, trying to figure out what has just happened. Are we back in the real world? Where are we? What's going on?
Right. It was like a very nondescript hill. You're just kind of at this peak point of a hill.
Yeah.
You're looking by forest.
Just nothing else.
Nothing else.
No wildlife.
It's not like we were at Central Park and we knew something.
No, it was just trees.
Yeah, nondescript.
And so as we talk about what's going on, Steve turns around and notices that a big, within I think the first 300 yards surrounding the foothill, the trees are gone.
Right.
They just disappeared.
Yeah, we were talking.
We heard nothing.
And he turns around and notices something and then says, "Hey,
the trees are gone.
They're all gone. They're like they've been cut off."
Yeah. So we turn to look. We're like, oh wow, yeah, that's crazy. We should because we didn't want. Steve and I at first didn't want to deal with the woods having been in that our nightmare sequence was the one path with all the trees by
all the cookie cutter trees,
all the cookie cutter willow trees. So we're like, I don't want to deal with any more forests.
Right.
But we realized, okay, there's no choice. Let's just go down and see what happens.
Yeah, because standing here is not going to help us.
Yeah, standing here is not going to help us. We got to make some kind of progress. So we go down the hill, bridging into what it's like this
You
battle
had something
area.
in your pocket, though.
And I was checking my pocket to see if I had anything. I had a pack of cigarettes in my pocket.
And your character doesn't smoke.
And my character doesn't smoke, so it was very odd that not only did I have a pack of cigarettes in my pocket, it was opened, and there was one missing.
Right.
So as I open it up, I asked you guys, I'm like, oh, did you guys, any of you smoke? And before I can even get the question out, Steve's character is pulling one from the pack. And, I also very conveniently had a lighter in my pocket.
Of course.
As one, a Zippo.
A Zippo.
So I hand him the lighter, and he lights up, and we're all good. So we start on our way into the forest.
You noticed something when he was lighting up.
Well, that was the later one, I think.
That was the second time.
The second time. The first time around, we walk into the woods,
that's right, yeah.
and we're just kind of making our progress, and when all of a sudden I felt this really cold sensation across my stomach, and I went, oh, that's weird. So I look down to see myself being sliced in half. My legs go one way, my torso goes another, and before anyone can even react, we're back at the top of the hill. Except we're not all back at the top of the hill. It's myself, Steve, and Slick, who, as far as he knows, has experienced all the same things that the rest of us have, and he's been there, and he got there just as we got there as well.
Right.
Having no knowledge of what just happened to the three of us.
As far as he knows, you guys just went through
came through the window. Yeah.
Right.
And so again, Steve and I are trying to tell him, no, there's this whole other thing that happened. So I think, oh, well, I still have the cigarettes in my pocket. Let me check those.
Right.
And I open it up, and there's now 2 cigarettes missing. The one from earlier and the one that Steve took.
Right.
So obviously this is some sort of reset / test / you need to find the right sequence of answers. It's like I'm playing this point and click game. I messed up one of the clicks. Let me go back. Undo these 2 steps to do the rest of this.
Right.
So with Slick at our side, once again deliberating, trying to figure out what's going on, we find that the trees are once again,
they're starting
moving away. The area being deforested again with the sounds of battle in the distance and bizarre.
Right, that first time you got split in half when we got down there, you were saying we heard like
gunshots and swords.
Yeah, first we heard gunshots, but then we also heard stuff like clanking of swords, like weird different battle sounds.
Yeah.
It was very with fresh blood all over the ground,
dead animals,
dead people. Yeah,
it's very strange,
very bizarre.
So the second time around, that's when again I open the cigarettes and Steven immediately grabs one, and as he goes to puff on the cigarette, we see this what looks
only you saw.
Only I saw this. I see this sickly looking fairy thing, and like go inside of him. And as I go to tell him, hey, I just saw something go into you, I hear this cackling, like this scratchy laugh behind my ear. It sounds like a very sick pixie.
Yeah.
In my ear, just start to laugh when all of a sudden, I think it's doesn't it just snap? Did it snap back to the hill again, or no? I think like his chest, like something happened to him.
You saw like the wings or something, like you
wings
saw,
were like in his chest, and all of a sudden
smoky.
we're all down on the ground. Our intestines are spilling out, and then we're back on the hill again.
Right.
And this time it's you, me, Steve, and was Copcat there that time?
No, Copcat wasn't.
Copcat wasn't there that time, so it was just the three.
Just
of us.
us 3, yeah.
And the second that reset happened, I took the cigarettes out, threw the pack away, and ran.
Right.
Didn't even say anything to anybody, because I think we all have memories of what's happening.
Right.
So I toss the cigarettes, I chuck them, I start running. You guys follow, we go into the woods before it starts to get deforested. As we start hearing it get deforested behind us, we keep running.
Stephen also took a cigarette and had it shoot out.
That's right, yeah.
And then went back in. And
he did take one and go throw it away.
Almost like it went down his throat, and he said you can almost feel it like tie itself up. And almost like kind of being tugged back up, like when you tug on a fish.
And that was the one where it was you, Steve, and Copcat. That's what I was thinking of. Because there was one that I wasn't there for.
Yeah,
there was one that I wasn't there for.
Right, that's the one.
And then
that's the one. Because he had the cigarette pack this time.
He had the cigarettes.
And it was a full pack.
And it was full pack. You guys all then go, not running into the woods, but you start to get down there before the tree line started to recede.
Right.
And you say that it felt like you crossed, like changing channels on a TV. You crossed like some threshold.
Instantaneous, yeah.
And it was like, oh, okay, we're now home free.
Right.
When the sounds of battle and the deforesting started to happen almost immediately.
Right.
So you guys start to try to run away, and then as Steven kind of pulls ahead of the pack, he turns to look back to see what's happening, and then you and Copcat get split in half.
Right.
Like from head to groin,
right
away, split open. And as he starts to keep running, what feels like running face first into an open Iron Maiden, not the band,
right?
The actual torture device with the spikes on the inside. They close it shut. Runs into an Iron Maiden, and then that's when we get reset back to the top of the hill.
Yeah, we're almost starting to
kind of put the pieces together, figure out, okay, this is what we have to do now, which is why upon what was our final reset, where it was you, me, and Steve.
Right.
I just ran down the hill, got rid of the cigarettes. We just kept going.
Yeah, there was no like, well, what should we do this time?
It was
right. Just go. Just go.
And that's what we did. We hit the tree line, same kind of channel switching thing, and we kept going.
We all rolled fantastic.
We all rolled great to get away from.
Yes, even Ryan rolled.
The first thing that it was like I get like a 17 or something. It was great. It was like I was like, I'm never gonna do better than this today. We finally get out. We keep running, and with this, we know instinctually, just keep going.
Don't look back.
Just keep going until we reach this clearing with a lake in it. No, it wasn't really a clearing. It was just there was a lake there.
Yeah.
With moonlight kind of coming through small little gaps
obscured through the trees.
And again, instinctively, we know we're done.
Right.
We don't need to run anymore. We can just stay right here.
Yeah, we're right by the mouth of the water.
But the trees are still. Everything's still deforesting behind us.
Right.
The trees are still coming down. There's still the sounds of...
And the water was very placid.
But everything is very calm about it.
Steve threw a rock
that rippled.
Yeah.
And that was it.
But
then as we look into the water, we just see our crystal clear reflections. But our eyes changed it into sort of like this mirror world where it's like it looked like this hall of mirrors that just kept going. And it was such a pure reflection. And by this point, we had experienced so much weird stuff. We're like... Well, what could possibly go wrong by going into the water?
It's either that, or we start all over again.
Or we deal with the battle behind us
again. And what were the chances we were all going to roll 3 great rolls again? We're like, let's just go.
See what happens. So we go
and you said it felt like quicksand, almost.
Yes. Yeah, we touch it, and we kind of sink into it like quicksand would take.
But we never lost sight of each other.
No, we were all still there, but also experiencing our own thing at the same time, oddly. But we were all experiencing the same thing, just it was, again,
very bizarre.
Very bizarre.
Yeah.
But it was just this tunnel. It was just behind us was still the forest, still getting crashed down,
right.
And then ahead of us was just this little tunnel.
Right.
So we walk down, we come through, only to come out on the other end in the same exact spot.
Right.
Except the forest is gone.
Correct.
There is the remains of what looked like a great battle left behind, but almost like, not ancient looking, but with the very clear appearance of this happened a very long time ago.
Right.
Like this didn't just happen.
No.
We were experiencing this happened.
Some time ago.
The remnants behind it wasn't, and nothing was fresh.
No.
And to kind of support that as well, once we come out the other side, we see a city out in the distance. There's also daylight now, because it was nighttime when we went in.
Yeah.
And as we come out, it's daylight again.
A skyline that we're not familiar with
and
at all.
Skyline
this is the first time you guys have seen daylight since the very beginning of episode 1.
Right. Yeah, so we're so pleased to see daylight again.
And I remember John saying that no matter how much we ran, we didn't feel tired or exhausted.
Yeah, and that's what kind of kept us, wanted us to keep going.
There was no point in resting because we didn't feel tired.
We didn't feel tired. We just kept going
straight on through.
Onto the city and out in the distance. We walk out there only to see that it's in ruins. Absolute shambles.
Complete ruins, yeah.
And there's just this group of people around some campfires that...
everybody's like very coffee.
Everyone's very coffee. Everyone's very. It sounds sick, or like they've been inhaling dust for years.
Right.
And so they're all. We think they're just gathered around this fire, and no, it turns out they're lined up for this fire
and jumping in it
willingly. Into it to remove themselves, to end the suffering.
Right.
Is what the guy that I was talking to was saying that, we're doing this to stop the suffering, because what else is there?
Right.
We earned this by fighting. This is what we're here for.
Right.
This is what we've
and I kept asking what enemy. He goes, the people who are not us.
Yeah, not us.
It's very vague. It's always
them,
very
us,
vague.
Whoever else. We're like, okay.
Never a solid answer.
And so I'm starting to look around. They're jumping in voluntarily. And I realized, because while we were in the dream world, kind of backtrack a little bit, while we were in the dream world, Rob's character, the cat, Cop Cat, didn't look like Cop Cat. He was back to his human form.
Right.
And so once we come out onto the other side, I realized, I'm like, wait, he's Cop Cat again.
Right.
And so I had the thought, does that mean our abilities are back?
Correct. Right.
So I turned to Steve and I go, Steve, it's Steve's character. I'm like, Steve, hit me as hard as you can.
Right.
And he goes, what? I was like, seriously.
Yeah, we were both like, why would you want
hit me as hard as you can.
Right.
And so he reels back and punches my character right in the face, to which the visual representation of my power taking effect shows.
Right.
Absorption.
My absorption power, and it sort of shows itself by You know, kind of like Black Panther's suit in the Black Panther movie when it turns purple when he's taking all the hits.
Yeah.
I have like an orangish, reddish, almost like embers left behind in an old fire. Like this just died out and you're trying to get it back.
Right.
That's what it looks like. It's sort of that glow. And so I think, okay, if my powers are back, maybe I can deal with this fire then.
Right.
And so as I approach, a chant opens up about, the Savior will try. The Savior will try.
Right.
And so we're like, all right, yeah, sure, the Savior will try.
You're like, whatever.
So as I stick my hand out over the fire, the absorption effect kicks in again. The orangish glow, which is not my hand on fire, it's my orangish glow of my ability, shows. And I see, okay, but as I do that, the trees start to grow back.
Right.
Oddly enough. So there's some correlation between us being there, or at least something of our being there, and the interaction of the fire and like almost the sacrifice kind of to a point
to
of this all
save
happening,
whatever,
to save something. And so I think, all right, I get once again, not the weirdest thing that's happened all day.
No.
I'm going to step right off, get right into that fire, just like everyone else and see what happens. Go with the flow at this point.
Right.
So I do. And sure enough, the ability kicks in again. I start to absorb it, and I start to get really, really strong.
And it keeps going up.
But it keeps going and going and going. Like, my muscles start to just tear through the skin. I just get it bigger and bigger and bigger. The glow just gets really bright until I finally just puff out, basically.
Right.
Like, it all just kind of collapses in itself, and my body just collapses into the fire.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah, it goes from, like, this... peak thing to nothing.
Right, to nothingness,
And my character's dead.
Yeah, completely dead.
In that moment, it's like dead. Like, nothing.
No saving throw.
Yeah, there was no
nothing.
reset.
Yeah, there's no reset.
In the past, where it's like, we were dying. No, this is it.
Right.
So we're like, okay. Random dude who we were talking to pulls my body out of the fire and jumps in himself.
Yeah, and the line keeps going on.
And it kept going. We're just like, what? And I think I don't think anything else happened at that point until that's when we woke up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
As that happened, we see again after I was in the fire, the trees kept coming back in greater force,
right?
Until my life extinguished and it was just everything went, died out again.
Yeah.
Thus triggering us waking up at the airport.
Which and that's when we noticed that Alex was there but groggy.
Courtney
was there.
Yeah, with the baby
had been
put back to sleep. She sung it back to sleep again.
Yeah.
Steve and I were there. Drenched in
right. Everybody's
water.
like, oh yeah.
Everyone. You were awake. I think Slick was there awake as well. Cobcat was there awake now, and then Steve and I are there. Somehow, and just drenched as if we just come out of a pool, right? Or to come out of the water in which we were thrown into in theory in the first time.
Yeah.
So the band got back together finally after the LSD
weird
trip
boat
that
ride
was
and,
Yeah, whatever this
Forest.
module is called, whatever this adventure ends up getting called.
Yeah.
Drug trip thing. Go from road trip to drug trip.
I mean, literally, we haven't had a chance to use or even discover all of our powers.
No.
Like, I don't even know what the hell happened with you.
Yeah,
like,
all you saw was he hit me, I turned orange and jumped into fire.
So, after seeing what I've seen so far, I don't even know what to believe anymore. I'm like, well, this could just be all of a figment of my imagination.
It could have been part of the nightmare.
It could have been part of the nightmare.
Trip.
Yeah, it's another
peyote trip.
It's another peyote trip.
Yeah, it's just everything sort of was just kind of. Again, we hit a point where we were like, let's stop questioning stuff and
just go with it.
Whatever happens, okay, fine.
Right, like I don't even know Steven's powers at all. I've seen him punch the Chimera guy. And
through the descriptions of him being the mutated thing in the Shadow World, and there was at one point I think it was after I had burned up.
Right.
Shadow tendrils came out of his back.
Oh.
So I think for me out of game. This is not my character knowing this. This is me knowing this. It seems like that the mutation, because I think it's like. He's constantly changing his appearance to look like a regular person, but he's not. He doesn't look like a regular person.
Right.
Which is why I think, and John, I don't know if you want to say I'm right on this or not, that appearance that he had in the Shadow World is what he actually looks like.
That's his true form.
His true form.
Right.
And those shadow tendrils, which we can't are invisible to the naked eye and to most electronic devices. The only things that can see it are non-intelligent beings, like animals, can see what he truly looks like because it's sort of like in Doctor Who, like there's the perception filter. He's sort of constantly giving off this perception filter to everyone's conscious minds and their intelligent beings.
That's what makes it so good.
He looks like he's just a regular dude, but really he's got these shadow arms that are constantly growing out of it behind him, and he looks like this deformed thing. I think that's what it is. So I think that's why he had those tendrils behind him, and why he looked like the way he did in the Shadow World.
But Rob is really the only one that sticks out like a sore thumb.
And because he has that very physical change, he looks like a cat or Lynx.
Otherwise, we go from you working at a music store, him being the lead accountant, me owning Summit Tech, and the next thing I know, I'm trying to pull you off of Cthulian-like tentacles with little sharp teeth.
Little sharp teeth in the end. So it was definitely a change of pace.
It's a huge trip in my head.
So did you guys enjoy the way I pulled two divergent points of view?
Yes. I thought it came together really, really well because I had watched a video this morning from last week's game just to kind of get myself up to speed, so I'm like aware of what's going on. And having watched that and now having this happen, what we had to happen today, it connected so seamlessly, it seemed, with what was going on. And
everybody's like passed out having the same lucid
and we didn't
dream.
have everyone at the table today. It was just you, me, Steven, and John. And so, but it happened to fit. It worked out well because of the way the dreams were all happening at the same time.
Yeah, because last I saw what I saw of you physically was you being pulled over the side of the boat.
Yeah, that was me and Steven were pulled away.
So
that was it.
I fall asleep, and the next thing I wake up, you're wrapped up in tentacles. I'm like, so where am I now? Where did I go all the way back to the beginning? Mm-hmm. It's just nuts.
Nobody knows.
Anthony, so you've been playing RPGs as long as I have. We started together when we were kids.
Correct.
How would you rank this so far?
This is not your typical, like when we would play Marvel superheroes or we would play villains and vigilantes. There's usually a very straightforward, this is my power set, here's your villain, my powers versus your powers, victor at the end. It doesn't matter what you got. Doesn't matter about your powers. Really doesn't matter about what you know or what you think you know. This is one of the trippier campaigns you've done. It's very cerebral. You really got to think things through. Things that you think might be real, probably are not. Things that you think are not real, probably are.
And I think every single one, and I still have kind of yet to decipher everything, but John kept dropping hints that it's like everything that we've been discussing means something.
It's like every single word you sort of have to take into account.
Yeah.
Because it might actually mean something.
It might mean something later. And so that's why it's like you got to start listening for clues and trying to figure out what does it all connect back to.
Where's this all stemming from?
It's not just it's not a hack and slash situation. No. Think about what you're going to do because everything has
consequences at the end. I mean, you could be the most powerful guy in the game. It's not really going to help you. Doesn't matter.
And I think that sort of fits in with the whole Paragons idea, where it's like the world hasn't had this. I know we're sort of in like this. Either it's a simulation, or it's an alternate reality, or it's whatever this is. But it's like the world has never experienced this kind of thing before, so there's no precedent to kind of be like, oh well, I saw there was this guy who had these crazy powers over in this other town, so I know that there's some weird stuff going on. It's like, no, we're going in, diving in, we're like trying to separate, okay, what's real and what's not.
And not to mention, one of the themes that's running in, but you weren't there for my examination for the shots they were giving. That's right. I was shown a video from a nurse saying that, how corporations are evil and blah, blah, blah. And then that theme got brought up again today. Like all the evils in the world and the destruction, that everything is, that you thought was good. These people and these companies are bad. They're making the planet worse. And so it sort of makes you think, God, is this like an eco-friendly...
Oh, that actually reminds me of the other callback that happened. So when you had, the whole thing with your gun when it was talking, and you were saying... And the same thing with the whispers that happened in the Walson thing. The people that we ran into jumping into the fire were also saying those same things. Like, oh, this will release you, we'll take care of it, everything will be fine.
Right.
Just let yourself kind of...
Let yourself go, just jump in the fire.
Yeah, you'll be taken care of. So there's this recurring theme of like, something else is kind of pulling the strings. Something else might be out there, sort of, and that kind of fits in with the whole simulation idea.
Yeah.
But it could also fit in with the you're on an operating table somewhere and you're being experimented on. We don't know.
For all we know, we could already be dead.
Yeah. This could be the afterlife.
This could be the afterlife, right?
And so this is like your...
Damn it, you figured it out. Game over.
Flip this table.
But it is sort of an interesting thought about the whole afterlife thing, because it is like, this is your journey of like, do you deserve to, move on?
Are we being judged? Is this purgatory?
Is this our judgment?
Is this lost?
Is this lost?
Is this lost?
Were
we on a plane? Well, we almost got on a plane.
You almost did get
We were at an airport.
Yeah.
So the next game should be in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Hopefully everyone will be able to get together for that.
I think
I would like to have the full group for this next game, since it's two pretty good. This one and the last one with the half team.
Yeah,
agree. I would like to pull everything together now. So let's keep our fingers crossed that the three of us, Rob, Alex, and Steven, will all be able to make it in a couple of weeks.
Yep.
But you guys are happy with the campaign.
I'm digging it. Like I said this right after we finished playing, like right as everything ended today, before the airport scene. I was like, all right, I kind of think I have an idea of what's going on. Until the airport thing happens, like, you're all awake, you're all back together again. Steven and Ryan are back with everyone else. Everyone's there. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm happy and frustrated.
Because it's like you think it's gonna be so like you think you finally get a handle on it, and it's like, no, here's this curveball.
That's it. That's it. The rug is being pulled up underneath you.
All right, and that's what I'm kind of like. I'm waiting for the next thing now. So it's like the first game, I was like, okay, this is the introduction game. Obviously, it's not gonna be like there were still massive things that did happen.
Right.
Okay. And then when you played last week, watching the video, I'm like, oh, okay, that would have been cool. That's cool. That's a cool.
Yeah.
That's a cool hook.
And
then playing this week, it's like the entire thing was just a hook.
Yeah, it was exactly. It was all a hook. You're waiting like, all right, eventually I'm going to figure out my powers. No. Don't even worry about that. You're not even going to be concerned with powers today. Just try to get through the tentacles in the dream sequence and listen to the mouse that's a man and getting through a window that's in the middle of nowhere. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Jump into the fire and not the Metallica song. So
I threw you guys a lot of pieces of the puzzle today.
Yeah, I know. I gotta like.
Gotta piece it together.
Think and like
Got 2 weeks of
Got
homework.
corner pieces and start working.
Yeah, you gotta get. Yeah, exactly. You gotta get the with the foundation stones going here, so we can actually get footed.
So I'm glad I'm keeping you guys excited about the game.
Oh yeah,
making us think. I don't like thinking.
Well, last time you tried thinking, you lost all that hair.
That's what happens. That's what happens when you think too much.
All right, so we're going to sign off from here.
Yep.
Everybody, this has been Big John and G, the 20-sided Warriors, Ryan and Anthony. Also, like three different names I almost put into
You're
one.
using your brain again.
I'm like, my brain hurts. I think too much. We are out of here.